Roatan Island is part of the Islas de la Bahia, or Bay Islands, and lies about 40 miles or 60 kilometers off the northern coast of Honduras. The Bay Islands consist of 8 islands and 53 cays, with Roatan being the largest at 77 kilometers or 48 miles long and less than 8 kilometers or 5 miles at its widest. The other Bay Islands consist of Guanaja, St. Helena, Utila, Barbareta, Morat, Hog Islands, and the Swan Islands. Roatan is world famous for its blue water and white sand beaches as well as its diving. Also, Roatan is home of the second largest barrier reef in the world, which is called the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef, and it forms an L shape from Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula and ends 1,126 kilometers or 700 miles to the coast of Nicaragua. The reef system is home to more than 65 species of stony coral, 350 species of mollusks, and more than 500 species of fish. The reef system is considered critically endangered, but steps are being taken to preserve the reef system from more damage. Roatan and the rest of the Bay Islands were formed by mostly uplift at the boundary of the Caribbean and North American plate, with monogenetic volcanism limited to eastern Utila Island. The Bay Islands of Honduras are mostly made of folded metamorphic rocks, as well as fossilized coral, and they form a rising crest off the coast of Honduras called the Bonaca Ridge, where the North American and Caribbean plate slide past each other. There are 2 ways to get to Roatan, either by direct flight or by a 40-mile, 60-kilometer ferry ride from La Ceiba. The ferry trip from La Ceiba on the mainland Honduras to Roatan is about an hour and a half and ends at the Mahogany Bay in Roatan. We rented a car and drove about 10 miles or 16 kilometers to the southwest to West Bay, which is on the southwest part of the island. Everything here on the island moves at a slow pace, even on the mainland Honduras. Nobody's in a hurry here. A 10-mile drive takes around 30 minutes or so. The speed limit in most areas is 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, which is around 25 to 40 miles per hour, and it is strictly enforced. We stopped halfway to get a couple photos of the Roatan sign, and we continued on to West Bay. The primary language in Honduras is Spanish. However, on Roatan, the majority of the people do speak both Spanish and English. There are a few steep hills before reaching West Bay, so be careful, especially around the curves. After we arrived at our hotel at West Bay Colonial to check in, we then drove to West End, just a couple miles north. When we returned to West Bay, we all took a 3-minute walk to the beach to view the gorgeous sunset. The average temperature at Roatan during the summer is around 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 30 degrees Celsius during the day, and it drops to about anywhere from 75 to 79 degrees Fahrenheit or around 26 degrees Celsius at night. In the wintertime, it is around 80 degrees Fahrenheit during the daytime or around 27 degrees Celsius, and that drops down to about 70 degrees Fahrenheit at night or around 21 degrees Celsius. We returned to the hotel at West Bay Colonial, which includes a free delicious Honduran-style or American-style breakfast. Plus, the view from the balcony was awesome. The following morning, we went back to the same beach to start the day by parasailing up to as high as 550 feet or 165 meters above the water. The entire tour of this parasailing trip is in another video, link in the description. The water here at West Bay Beach is crystal clear blue due to a few reasons. Number 1, water has a natural light blue color anyway, especially noticeable against a white background, as in this case white sand. Number 2, there's very little plankton, jellyfish, or other small animals and plants that are mixed in with the water. Also, a lack of fine-grained sediment mixed in the water also plays a role. The barrier reef slows down large incoming waves, making it pretty calm at the shore, as you can see here. And there is no river entering the sea, making the water even more dirtier. After parasailing, we went on a well worth it boat trip to see some sea life. The first stop our guide took us on was to see the mangrove swamp just a couple miles to the north. We arrived at the cove near Gibson Bight to see a mangrove swamp. However, warning, do not touch nor remove any part of the mangrove tree, as it is illegal. After the mangrove swamp, we then proceeded a little farther north to Bailey's Key to see some dolphins.
That's so beautiful. Right?
Here, the dolphins are inside a little kind of like a fenced area where people can interact with them. After seeing some dolphins, we then turned back and we also did some unplanned snorkeling and swimming on the way back in a couple of spots. Here, one can have a clear view of the coral at the bottom, where the water is only 10 feet or 3 meters deep. It is not uncommon to get within an arm's reach of the fish. That's not bad for $20, or around 500 lempiras per person. On our last night, we got a couple of good views of the hills and valley off of West Bay Road just 2 kilometers north of West Bay.